My favorite show is on.
Show got that real.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to season 5 of YORU. It's your boy Joseph Thomas.
And it's your girl Trinity Caesar.
We're here and we're back and we're better. I know this is not the usual thing.
Right.
We are on Zoom, of course, and we're not in our studio where we usually are, but we're excited to be with you. And we're actually excited that we are able to do this. I thought it was going to be canceled. Did you think it was going to be canceled?
School and like general.
Yeah, school. I mean, why were you?
I didn't expect this to come back. I thought we were coming back, but I wasn't sure, like 100% sold. But so when he said that we can come back, just giving us a guideline, then I was like,
Right.
Okay.
Right. So for everybody that, what you said, what now?
I was like, how was your quarantine so far? Like
Quarantine, it was good. I mean, I painted my house. I started working at the church. I started mentoring some kids, and then camp. We went to camp this summer. I mean, we did a lot of things. I mean, it was amazing. Quarantine is good. And as you guys can see, I'm not on campus. I'm actually in a hotel room right now. And that's because I didn't go back to campus. I'm a virtual student. I decided to stay home, save a little money, and it's paying off. And staying safe. You're right. So I do miss my friends, but unfortunately, I had to stay home. How was yours, Trinity?
Mine was, I wasn't able to leave the house at all. Like, I probably left the house throughout the whole time that I was there, maybe 5 times, like to the grocery store, or whenever my aunt was like, okay, y'all been in the house for a little bit, kind of get into y'all. Now y'all can go out, like, to get something to eat, but then, like, come right back. I, like, don't even do that.
Yeah.
Over time, I thought I was actually going to be a little bit more grouchy than I was, because one, I don't like doing the same thing over and over again. I don't like having that same routine. So
yes.
And like seeing people this whole time, every single day, with really nothing to do. I was like, okay, we're gonna butt heads. But
right.
Actually, surprisingly, we actually grew closer in our relationship. Me and my cousin, me and my aunt, like, we grew closer in that time. So I was like really happy.
That's good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, on today's episode 1 of season 5, we have an amazing guest, Mr. Caleb Drummond. Caleb, would you introduce yourself to the people? Tell us where you're from, your classification, and your major, and all that good jazz.
All right. Good morning, everybody. My name is Caleb Drummond. I'm from the hometown of Baltimore, Maryland, a little far away from ORU. My major right now is finance with a minor in pre-law. What else did you say? It was a slogan?
Yeah. What's your life slogan?
So right now, a big thing that I'm on is protect the vision.
Okay. And where did that come from?
So that came from me and my business partner, Seth. We were sitting down and we were like, we need an inspirational quote. And so we were just praying and seeking the Lord. And a big thing that we really focus around is the idea of being a visionary. You can't be a visionary without a vision.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to be an effective visionary, you have to protect the vision that God has given you. And so that's what we're really on, protecting the vision right now.
That's good.
So,
well, go ahead, Trinity.
So you have like a clothing, like, what do you mean by you and your business partner set? What is the business to have that partner? What do you guys have?
Right. So the business that we have right now is a clothing brand called YVA, which stands for Young Visionary Apparel. The idea was made in Baltimore, but we made our first things here inside my dorm room. And we've been making stuff inside my dorm room ever since. But it's a clothing company that's founded around inspiring a generation of young godly leaders who carry the vision of God into a world that does not carry his vision.
That's good.
That's why we're called Young Visionary Apparel, so that even through clothes, God can be glorified and we can raise up a generation of young godly leaders.
Wow. So I see Trinity has on some apparel. You have on some apparel. I'm the only one missing here. And so I did. I should have got the memo, but my co-host didn't tell me about the memo.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, Caleb, what actual shirt do you have on right now?
So right now I have on the unashamed shirt. And
Uh-huh.
so of course that comes from the scripture out of Romans where it says I'm unashamed of the gospel. And
Okay.
so that's the purpose of this shirt. And that's another big thing that we've been focusing on as well, is because in this generation it's easy to get caught up in things, trying to follow trends and things, but we decide to say we know we're set aside and we're unashamed of being set aside and we're called out for a purpose.
Yeah, that's good. So one more thing before we jump into these questions, tell us where can we find your merch and how can we support your business? Because we're all about supporting Black-owned businesses and young
Right.
people. And so tell us, how can we find that?
So you can find our Instagram at YVA Merch, and our website is Young Visionary Apparel. We're still working on the website. We had to take it down for a little bit, but we're going to be relaunching it on September 17th when we're dropping our new fall collection, and it's our year anniversary since the first day we ever made anything. So that's
Wow.
September 17th.
Wow. Congratulations. You heard it first, ladies and gentlemen. September 17th. Put that in your calendar. September 17th. You don't want to miss this amazing clothing line. They're dropping new merch, new everything. And so you want to be a part of that. Support our young people. You want us out of the street? Support us. Because we're going to take this far for the kingdom of God. So, Trinity, you want to kick us off with the first question?
Yeah, so I just want to ask you basically the whole point of this. Why did you come to Oral Roberts University and what really drew you on campus?
Okay, that's a really good one. So back at my school at home, I've been in the same school my entire life. It's a small, private, all black owned, 100% black students, Christian school. And the founders graduated from here, and then their kids ended up running the school, and all of them graduated from here as well. So we would always hear these stories about ORU and whatnot. Then the people that were in the grades above me, they started going here. So I'm like, okay, let me go check the school out. I never heard of it before, but I was like, Tulsa don't seem that bad. Let me go down there. And a little backstory, at the time, I was facing some things with back at home. I had just gone through the divorce of my parents and things like that. And so it was a really rough time. It was a rough time at the time. And then I came here for college weekend. And college weekend was fun, but what really made me come to ORU was campus worship.
Yeah.
Campus worship was one of the most closest interactions I've ever had with God. It was the first time I had ever audibly heard his voice.
Oh, wow.
And I'm sitting there and I'm praying and I'm seeking God, just wondering, what's going on with my family? How is this happening? And the biggest thing that he told me, and I never forgot it, was that he was going to use me to restore the altar that was broken when my parents' church split. And I wrote it down, and I didn't know what that meant at the time. But when I went back home during fall break, during the first semester, I told my mom the things that God had been telling me about that. And she said, I knew you were supposed to be at ORU, because when she was in the prayer tower, she asked God, why did you tell me to marry him? You said that our ministry was going to be influential, it was going to help many people, and it didn't happen. And she said the Holy Spirit told her, I'm doing it. I'm just going to do it through Caleb now.
Wow.
And so that was happening. We were getting these messages at the same time and just didn't tell each other. And ever since I've been here, God has developed me spiritually into a man that I would not recognize if I went back a year, 2 years ago. And he's really preparing me for that restoring of that broken altar that he told me about. And so that's one of the biggest reasons that I'm here at ORU.
Wow. So through all of that, campus worship, when you became a freshman and you finally moved in, how did you feel when you were set free, and you stepped foot on campus? What was that feeling like?
That was an amazing feeling, provided that I came from a home of two pastors who weren't too strict, but they were pretty serious about what I could and could not do.
Mm-hmm.
And so coming out here and being able to not have to answer to nobody, of course, you stay inside the correct, where you're supposed to be and whatnot. I didn't go wild, but just the freedom to be able to say, oh, I want to go here, I can go here.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to do this, I can do this. That was I still enjoy it because it's still different when I go home. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely that. I would call it a blessing. It has been a blessing because it's helped me to mature, helped me to grow up. You know, you get to learn a little bit about adulting and whatnot. So that's been
Yeah.
a blessing.
That's good.
So I know that you mentioned, like, before coming here, you were dealing with the split between your parents. So how was that challenge coming into ORU and then trying to make sure you're on top of your grades, making sure you're not bringing other people down around you? How was that balance between those two?
So that was interesting because, and I think a lot of college kids suffer from it, where when you're far away from home, especially when you're going to school out of state, you're kind of out of tune with everything happening back home for a little bit. You know, you're not up to date with everything happening. And so honestly, not being up to date with everything happening kind of helped because I didn't have to hear about, oh, this happened, no, that happened, and always being sometimes caught in the middle of my parents if there was a problem, or having to, you know, console my little brother, or having to make sure this person was okay and this person was okay. I realized that I didn't take the time to sit down and just say, wait, did I truly heal from this?
Yeah.
And so being here allowed me that separation to be in my own space and to allow God to work on me without me having to work on other people as well.
That's so good, man. Oh, Jesus. Go ahead.
And so, you know, in the midst of that, I just reminded myself just to stay positive, you know, just to be the Caleb that I know I am, not to mope around and whatnot. You know, I can't change things. Things happen for a reason. And while I'm away from home, let me take this time to be away from home. Let me leave those problems back there.
Yeah, that's so good, man. I mean, I had to do the same thing, and I can testify and agree because I tell people coming to ORU, I didn't want to come to ORU. But I think what I've gained out of ORU and what I know the Lord has purposed me to be at ORU was for peace and happiness. Like you said, I mean, our stories go hand in hand. And my parents aren't divorced, but it sure was a lot going on at home and with friends. But being at ORU, it awarded me and granted me the freedom to not have to worry about everybody else. And what happened is everybody put Joseph as a god, and so now Joseph has to take on the burden of everybody else and pray for everybody. Got to be the middleman and got to be there. And so, man, it's amazing just to hear that you was kind of going through the same thing that I was going through, and that, you know, or you was a safe place for you, and how it did the same thing for me. I mean, with community and friends and prayer partners and Transformation Church and chapel, and, you know, those things helped me get the peace that I was looking for and get the love and the God kind of love that I needed. And so it's just amazing to hear that. And so it brings me to my next question is, how did your community that you built at ORU and your friends, how did they help you through these this transition and through these hardships that you were facing?
So yeah, I'm glad to say that I didn't come here alone. I came here with two classmates that graduated with me, and then also I had some people who graduated before me that were here to in fact, one of them ended up being my RA, Alan, and he really did help me through a lot of the things. He was always up, always available at any time. I'd go into his room at 3 a.m. and just start talking, and he was okay with it. And he really talked me through and helped me through a lot of the things that I was facing. He really did. And even Devin and Seth, you know, we joke and we laugh a lot, but if I ever needed help, they were there to help me at all times. And then even the new people that I would meet, you know, because in my hometown, people aren't this nice naturally.
Yeah.
You know, you walk up to somebody and just start talking, they might look at you a little weird. You can't just walk up on anybody any type of way. But here, everybody waves, says hi, smile, most of the time at least. And so that was a new experience all in together itself. But the people that I met here that are my friends, they really did encircle me. They helped me. They've helped to mold me and build me, like I said, into the man that I am today. And it honestly made me forget about the things that was going on for a while. And that really helped. It felt nice to just be me.
That's good.
Not attached to anything else, to just be Caleb, to sit all these hats down for a moment and just be a student and a friend.
That's good.
And they definitely helped me to just alleviate some of that pressure that can come along with all of that, with being a PK, with being a young minister, with doing all these things at once back at home. I got to take some of those hats off and relieve that pressure, which was a really good thing.
Amen.
Yeah, that's good. So with you having those hats, you probably didn't, like, right when you got here, join a bunch of clubs. Like right when you got here, you wanted to sit down, just enjoy everything that was happening, right?
Yep, I didn't join any clubs. I remember what's that thing they call Party Festival. I walked by all the booths. It's probably gonna sound bad, but I got as much free stuff as I could, and I kept on going because I didn't want to. Yeah, of course, and I didn't want to because I already had the business was up and running. It wasn't. We were in the works of getting it up and running, and of course, it's first semester. I didn't want too much on my plate, so I kept I kept everything minimized as much as possible.
Right.
We know all too well about getting the free stuff in Party Festival. That's how we became co-hosts.
Right.
I went
My
to
intention was to get the candy, like, because they had like every single booth just had candy.
Yep.
And I know one thing, when my friend, she got a free T-shirt, one of those jerseys, and I was really, she got the last one too. And I was looking, I was like, dang. If only I walked a few steps ahead, I could have got that jersey.
Oh, that piece of candy tempted me.
Right.
Oh, yes. So, Caleb, we at ORU, we have the honor code. And everybody, some people are not very fond of the honor code. So, what things did you have to learn, or how did the honor code help you in your life or being a student at ORU? What things did you not like about the honor code, and how did the honor code help you?
Let's see. The one way that the honor code helped me was well, the word honor. I remember during the honor code chapel, they were really talking about the word honor, and that helped me to realize, okay, yes, this looks like a set of rules, and that's one thing that I don't like. It kind of looks like a if you do it, good. If you don't, you got to go. And that can really what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of people won't like that because it sounds forceful a little bit. You want this type of thing to be willing. That's one thing that I would say about it. I believe everything that the honor code stands for, but I think that there's a specific way for things to be presented, especially to our generation.
Yeah.
It's not the same as, oh, sign this piece of paper, do it, and if you don't, then this will happen. It doesn't work that way. You want to cultivate a culture where people willingly want to do this. You explain to them why this isn't good, why this is good. Something that I did like about the honor code was certain things that helped me that I was struggling with. For instance, one was cursing. Before I came here, and I can say now it's been over a year that I've said one curse word, but before that, I was like Peter, just like a sailor. But thank God, my mouth ain't like that no more. And just a bunch of stuff, like I said, honor, just realizing how much respect is really important. It's such an important concept, whether it's a leader that you don't agree with, whether it's a professor that won't give you the right grade, whether it's a chapel sermon that you don't particularly agree with. God has placed that person there for a reason, and they deserve to be honored because God did place them there, whether you agree or not. And that's the same attitude that I have with the honor code. Even though we may not like the way it's presented, even though we may not agree with everything in it, we're here at this institution for a reason, and God has called us to honor that.
Yeah, that's good.
It's kind of what I learned in my, there's two people in the world, basically. There's people with the fixed mindset, and there's people with the growth mindset. So if you're looking at the honor code with a fixed mindset, it's like, okay, they're stopping me from having fun, or they're stopping me from being myself. But if you have a growth mindset, you're taking the honor code as, okay, they're putting this in place so I can be better in this next season.
Right.
They're giving me these rules so I can hold myself and other people around me accountable. So I'm glad that you and everybody that I know is having that growth mindset of leveling up instead of trying to stay here, enjoying. I mean, you can enjoy the moment, but see the future as well and see how this school is trying to take you to the next level. So what was that moment when you were like, it could be before, it could be when you were here, but what was that moment when you was like, okay, I can't juggle every single thing in my life. I have to ask the Lord to truly just come into my life, be my savior, and take these burdens away from me. When was that moment when you just truly just submitted yourself to God?
Okay, so that was probably before I came to ORU. That was in well, no, that was here. That's happened a couple of times in my life. But the two main times that I remember was one time when I was in high school, and that was around when the divorce had happened, and my dad had been ill before that. Plus, of course, in high school, we're taking the SATs, we're getting ready to go to college, we're trying to find out which college, we're trying to find out which major, consulting and seeking God for what's my plan, what's my purpose, and that's a very hard conclusion to come to, I think, for anybody. But I was dealing with a bunch of stuff, and it got to a point where I could feel myself starting to crack. I was taking on too much. I was doing too much was expected of me. And if I hadn't consulted God and given it to God, I wouldn't be at the school today.
Yeah.
And when I got here, even throughout like the first semester, so much stress, I started to pick it back up. So I started doing this, doing that. I had to deal with this and deal with that. And it took me to just drop on my knees and cry for a little while in the prayer tower to get myself together, just to talk to God and just remind myself of where my foundation is, because my foundation doesn't crack because it's not me.
Yeah.
So I had to remind myself of what that foundation was and try not to depend on only myself to do all this stuff. And so those were some times that I was like, okay, I need you. I can't do this without you.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So in that, how do you now live a balanced life of being a Christian, but still having fun and maintaining godly character?
So I can thank my friend group a little bit to that. But also even the way that I was raised, my parents were strict, but they were never like, you can't have fun. They weren't like, you got to sit down and do this. And we always had fun, but it was always wholesome fun. So it was never like a new thing or a challenge for me to say, oh, that don't sound like fun. Oh, they don't want us to do anything here. No, there's always ways to find fun, whether you have to make your own fun or not. But we would just think of ideas that were like, okay, this sounds good, whether it be skating and going to Andy's around the corner, or even some people have different ideas of fun. I like, sometimes I just like sitting down and reading or going for a jog, things like that. I think it helps to know in that situation, it helps to know who you are, because when you know who you are, you know what you like, you know what you need to avoid.
That's right.
So you can determine where that line is. Okay, this is fun and this is sin, because there's a distinct line in between the two.
Yeah.
So when you went cliff jumping a couple weeks ago, you and your friends, I seen that. I was like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah, cliff jumping is
fun.
Right.
It's interesting because we don't got nothing like that back at home. It's definitely interesting. But yeah, like that was something new that was like, okay, this is new, this is fun, and you don't have to do no compromise in between it.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
This is just a question that just popped in my head and I want to ask. Earlier we were talking about quarantine and all that stuff. So you being in your house or wherever you was during that quarantine, what is one lesson that you truly got from when you were just by yourself with your family? Like what was one lesson that you could take and implement that throughout this school year or just throughout life?
That's good.
That is a good one. Let's see.
Take your time. It's all right.
Let's see. I would say I learned about the importance of faithfulness, and not to other people, but to God.
Yeah.
Because during that season, it was a little hard because I needed a car really badly at the time. I didn't want to sit down and do nothing. I couldn't sit down and do nothing because at the time my dad was going through some things also, and I was trying to say, okay, let me help. Let me try to help my family. Let me have a backup, a cushion, just in case anything goes wrong, because that was a hard time for everybody where jobs are saying, hey, we might fire you, or we might lay you off, or and this and that. So, I really wanted to have some money, A, to be able to get a car, and B, to just have some cushion just in case something happened. And it was during that season where I had to remind myself kind of to keep working. I mean, it was really easy to just stay in bed, really easy to sleep all day. So I had to fight that procrastination. That's something that I'm glad that I dealt with procrastination back in quarantine, so I don't got to deal with it now.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely to keep moving, to not sleep, because that bed can be comfortable for me. That's my problem. I got a hard time getting out of bed. Really. I mean, those 850 classes, every day I question whether or not I'm going to them. But definitely to remain faithful to my responsibilities, where like now it's like, okay, I signed up for that 850. Nobody made me sign up for that 850. That's my responsibility. Let me go handle it. And even being faithful to God, where sometimes it's so easy to put time that could be for him to other places. So easily we can make an idol out of something that doesn't even seem like it. It could be a person, it could be our phones, it could be a TV show. Even things that seem small, they can take up so much time to the point where we don't even realize, wait, I'm not spending time with God. I got to correct this. So during quarantine, I really learned that concept of setting out a time for God. This is where I'm going to meet you, God. At this time, I'm going to be here and nothing is interrupting this time.
Yeah. Last question for you, and we're going to wrap it up here. What advice or word of encouragement would you give to someone that's listening? Maybe it's someone that's going through something, or maybe you want to give a word of advice to that incoming student that's thinking about going to ORU. What word of advice would you give them?
So definitely to the incoming freshmen, to touch on what Trinity said, is to have a growth mindset. And that can be for anybody. These are troubling times. We're facing things that we've never seen before, but it's not new for our God. And as God's moving, we need to be flexible just as he moves, to be able to have that growth mindset and not be fixed and stuck on where we are. And I think that's definitely important for the new students coming at here, because one thing the school can do is mold.
Yeah.
Whether it be from sitting in those chapels twice a week, or hearing about Transformation Church or the other great churches around in the city, or even sometimes just sitting down talking to friends, the conversations that you can have. You definitely have to be in that growth mindset, because if not, everything will move without you.
Yeah.
You don't want stuff to move without you. Now you're playing catch up, and it's going to be very hard, and you can miss out on the opportunity to grow. I mean, who doesn't want to grow? So It's definitely important to have that growth mindset instead of that fixed mindset. And to anybody else listening, I would say definitely maintain that faithfulness. Remember that no matter what happens, no matter what tribulations we come, God is faithful. So that calls us to remain faithful. Even when it doesn't seem like it, even when we don't feel like it, and even when it doesn't make sense, we have to remain in that place of faithfulness just as he does.
Yeah. So good. So good. Well, Caleb, thank you for coming on the show. Thanks you for being a part. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap for episode 1. Listen, don't forget September 17th. You want to check out yvamerch.com, and you want to follow them on all social media platforms at YVA Merch, correct?
Yep, YVA Merch for the social media, and youngvisionaryapparel.com for the website.
Yeah.
Do
so
students get discounts? Let me just get it out the way.
We're working on getting a student discount uploaded to the website, because most of our customers are students, and we know how hard it is, so we're working on getting one uploaded. That's one of the new updates we're putting into the website now. And we're planning a giveaway soon. We're going to be announcing that soon. Now. So we always love doing giveaways. So yeah, we'll have one before the end of September. We're working on how we want to do it and whatnot, but stay tuned.
Cool. Yeah, so stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. You want to be a part of that. Support our young brother with Young Visionary Apparel, and just stay tuned, because you don't know what YRU we may have coming down the pipeline. And so this semester is going to be so great. Trinity, are you excited?
When I say I think I'm past excited. Like I'm just ready for the unexpected, because you just really, like, we wasn't expecting this, and like doing interviews like this. So like it's just blowing my mind how it just creates, and we keep getting better and better. Like and just we're switching, and like we're flexible enough, and we're willing enough to just bend and be flexible. So I'm excited. I'm really excited.
I'm so excited. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, that's it. And that's all that we have for episode 1. During this time of COVID-19, keep going. We know that the world is in a frenzy right now, and everything is beginning to open back up, and you're kind of in a bind. But one thing that the Lord wants you to remember is that he still has you. He has the whole world in his hands. And so we pray the blessing of the Lord upon you. Numbers 6:24, that the Lord will grant you peace and make his face shine upon you. That's all we have for you. We hope that you're blessed by this, and just share it with somebody. Like, subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can stay up to date to everything that's going on. That's all I have for you. It's your boy Joseph Thomas.
And it's your girl Trinity Caesar.
Peace.
Peace.